Today we were going to talk about several items. I've called it the weekend roundup. Things are happening so fast. I know, frankly, I sleep pretty good at night, but last night I was up the whole night. Even my cat was sitting there with me. But and we watched television because that thing they had going in California, where that man walked in that nightclub where all the college kids go and all that, and he started shooting and killing as hard as he could. And that was only 12 days from the same episode that happened in Pittsburgh, right near where I used to live in Pittsburgh. Um, but this thing last night was like a duplication. And also, I guess they're watching that guy send out all the bombs from Florida because the man last night, I think he was in the Marines, a Marine man, and he wasn't that old. You just can't figure it out. And he went in the club, and all these kids are sitting there, students and all that. They're all jammed up together because they figure it was a good place right near several colleges. And then he just started shooting them as hard as he could. And naturally, I don't know if they had a guard there, but I know they didn't have a guard wearing a gun. I mean, as soon as I saw it on television last night, the first thing I thought of was Las Vegas, where all those people were sitting there watching that concert, and the guy's up there just shooting them as hard as he could. And these other places like Pittsburgh, did they have a man with a gun, a guard standing there? No. Now the guy in Florida, he was on out bombs. In fact, I wouldn't even get my mail during that period. And he had 100 people he wanted to send them to. I think about 14 went out. Now this deal last night, I mean, how could you get out of there? They said it's between a couple colleges and Pepperdine or something. They're real good schools, and the students are real good students. And I know they didn't have a guard. It's like all these other clubs. And do you know their dance floor, I saw, held about 2,500 people. I mean, this was not a small club. No. So the place was packed. And once that man started shooting, there's no way he could have missed anyone. Now, they said supposedly he had some mental problems a few months ago, or during the last year, and he went for some treatments for that, and maybe that was the problem with him. But I think the more these things happen, there's people that have this down in their system. I know I probably have it, you probably have it, but there's certain things can set you off. And they're watching all these people getting killed every single week. Like that was 12 days in Pittsburgh. I mean, I never heard, and it gets these people set off. This guy was a Marine. I mean, he was, a good man, somebody we brought up from the ground up. And then the question is, does he have a mental illness? I don't know. But that's one item that happened over the weekend. The other thing, naturally, is that Trump fired yesterday Sessions, the highest ranking officer in the country, and told him to get out. And Sessions said, "Oh, can I stay until Friday? I'm the highest officer in the country." And they said, "No, you get out right now." That's just hard for me to realize how they can do that to somebody and throw him out. But they had a goodbye something for him, and he was on TV with all these other people shaking hands, and he was gone. Now, what's going to happen next? I don't know. That's this guy, Whitaker, I think, is taking over for him, and supposedly because, and by the way, the Democrats won, and then the Republicans, still with the Senate, the House was taken over by the Democrats, and this guy Whitaker, he took over for Sessions. Now, I know the first thing Whitaker is going to do is fire Rosenstein, because Rosenstein tried to quit a few weeks ago anyway. they said that he was talking about listening to Trump and all these stories, and I don't know, Trump let him stay for a while, but Rosenstein will be the first one. He's leaving. Then Whitaker, I know because from the beginning, he isn't that big of a politician, but he's from Iowa, and he said from the beginning he did not like Mueller. So, and that's one person that Trump wants to get rid of is Mueller, because Mueller has been working on this for months now, months and months, and he spent a lot of money. And naturally, the next thing is how do you get rid of Mueller, because he's still going, he's not finished yet. So one of the ways is they're saying just cut off his money, because he's sitting there with 15 lawyers, and I know that costs a lot of money every week, month, or whatever. And they said cut his money. And I know Whitaker, if you told him today, would go fire Rosenstein, and then the next day he'd fire Mueller, and he'd be tickled to death because he hasn't liked Mueller at all, like I said. And Mueller is the guy that can give Trump the most trouble, as we know, because Mueller's been working on this for months, and all these people around Trump have charges against him, a lot of them, and Mueller's cut them down, way, way down, but they had to do agreements that they're going to testify against Trump. That's what it's all about. Now, and these agreements have been written up, I think, especially on the criminal stuff, the criminal charges that they're in, these different people. I think I talked about one yesterday with Cohn was in. He had a lot of criminal charges, and supposedly they worked out a deal and cut him down, and he's supposed to testify against Trump. But I think the main thing Cohn has is that 130 and 150,000 that they gave to the girls, and I don't think that they took it off as a campaign deduction. Other than that, I don't think he has too much on Trump. But they cut down his sentence because he had a long sentence and they cut it. Now, I think if this guy tries to fire Mueller, I know some of those congressmen there, the ones that are elected in the Democrats, they're going to fight to keep him. And then the next step is they could try to start impeachment on Trump, because that's what they were talking about before. But now that they're in the House, they can stand up and say, we want to start impeachment proceedings against Trump. But that takes about 7 months. So
they can't do anything until January 1st.
Yeah, and the other thing is this Whitaker I saw. I don't know. He's in out. He didn't go in the right way, but they can't get him out for like 200 days. I think he can stay there 200 days, and then he's out. From what I saw, the other thing is, if they're going to go after Trump and get him, it's going to be back to Mueller's work and the agreements that worked that Mueller had signed by these people. Generally, when he cut their sentences, they all signed agreements, because some of them had
and then he gave them money.
50, 60 years, and I don't know, somebody said maybe they gave him money. I don't know about that. But there's another one I was looking at, the last part of this today, and it's this guy Manafort. Manafort was like right up there next to Trump there for a while, and
he was his manager.
His manager, and they arrested him, and he's charged with several items.
Wow.
Manafort, like he was setting up bank accounts overseas and banks overseas, and then supposedly he had some connections in Russia where he can help them go against Trump on what he knows about Russia. But I don't know. I didn't really hear that much about Manafort, about what he knew and what he could do to help them get Trump involved, because he is charged with several things, that a lot of it involves setting up fraudulent bank accounts in these banks overseas. Now, the other thing is, on this Manafort, that the first thing that they were talking about is mainly giving Manafort maybe a what's that thing they're called? Can't think. But saying that they could let him go. So how are they going to let him go? Well, naturally he could take the fifth. He could take the fifth in a pardon. That's what they were talking about, a pardon, giving him a pardon. And but if you take a pardon, though, supposedly, then you remove any Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. So then, if they start asking you questions, even though you have a pardon, they can't actually put you in jail, but they can ask you questions about all these other things. And you say, "I take the fifth. I take the fifth." No, you can't take the fifth with a pardon against self-incrimination. And that was brought up supposedly when they had the Watergate prosecution team. And so I don't know, and they don't know what to do with Manafort. But I don't, supposedly he has some knowledge about Trump's dealings in Russia, with Russia agents. So, I don't know, we'll see on that one, but that's all we have for today. Thank you.
That's